Hello, and welcome to Deep Blue. Today we're going to be taking a look at 8th edition, and I'm also going to do a quick introduction for this channel. So we'll do the introduction first. The reason that I started this channel is because I'm trying to collect one of, as you might be able to tell, every blue foil Magic the Gathering card ever released. I have a modest collection so far. I'll take you through a quick dive through the first part of it. These are mostly commons and uncommons, so don't be too impressed on, as you know, I have significant gaps to fill. This here is Mercadian Masks, which I think was a fun set, even though a lot of other people didn't. That goes through Nemesis and Prophecy. I started collecting blue foils because I'm in love with the aesthetics of them. I mean, look at the shine that you can get on these. They're just beautiful. This is Invasion, one of my favorite blocks. We go through 7th edition now, which we'll get to in a while. This is actually one of the trickiest blocks to collect, but more on that later. I started this channel because I wasn't able to really find anything about collecting foils, or even really foils in general, among Magic content producers. And while I don't have any intention of becoming a major celebrity like a lot of them, I still thought it'd be interesting to sort of document my experiences, share any tips and tricks I have, talk about the history of the foils, how they've changed over the years, take a look at things like storage, acquisition, care and maintenance. As you know, as any Magic player knows, these cards can be quite tricky to maintain properly. So I thought I'd give a little window into that world. Yeah, here's an area that needs a lot of work. So yeah, today we're going to focus on 8th edition. And I thought I would call out 8th edition because it's sort of an inflection point in foils. I'll use Index as a good example. So we'll go to Index. Now, one of the first things you'll notice is that the foiling for Magic's first few years had this standard sort of border, that famous classic border where I always knew. It also had the swish down at the bottom, but it didn't have any foiling on the artwork or the text box. What changes when they go to 8th edition, and most people associate this border change with Mirrodin, but it actually came in 2003 before Mirrodin, the set before, in 8th edition. Not only do they start changing the border on all the cards, both regular and foil, they also, on the foil cards, do two things differently. First, no more swish, which I kind of liked. I miss that now that it's gone. The second thing they changed was the art and the text box are now foil. And they do some really interesting stuff right off the bat. Look at, for example, that little spark on Commodore Guff's book. You notice that in the originals, they don't do that, but on this one, it has a little nice trick. You can see they also did something with his monocle there to make it shiny. Now, this isn't the perfect example because this is only just one element of it that they've done. You see these sparks and lightning. But what they do down the road is they start adding, especially with Mirrodin, a lot more creativity and ingenuity to this. So you can see in other cards that came around in this era, like Curiosity, look at that foiling. That is just beautiful. Flash counter, this is a characteristic. You see this sort of effect here, this sort of iridescence. Sea Monster, I think, is a great example of sort of the early foiling process. If you look closely, you can see the subtleties they started to do in terms of scales, in terms of the sky, in terms of the waves. Really brings a whole new level of depth and clarity to the cards. And of course, everybody's favorite Stormcrow. So, we'll go now to the binder. Wrong binder. This one's a little thinner because I haven't put what I have acquired into it yet. So we start on this one with Legions, which then brings us to Scourge, which this brings us to 8th edition. And as you might notice, these are going to be the first 8th edition cards I have in here. So Thundercloud Elemental is the last one in Scourge. Catalog will be next up. That'll be the first one we put in. And so if we were to count from the top here, it would go right here. And that fits in well there. Now, next up is Confiscate, which I think looks great. You see that little effect right there. This was a recent reprint from, I believe, Urza's Saga, and so that gives us the first chance to see this card in foil, I believe. And then we have Curiosity, which, as you know, killed the cat. Going right here. I'm checking off screen to see where these cards go in proper order using Scryfall. After Curiosity, we'll have Flash Counter going right here, followed by Index right here. And then from Index, we'll go to Sea Monster next, so there's a bit of a jump. So if we count from Index, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So Sea Monster will go here. We turn the page. Steel Artifact will be up next. And that goes right below. I'm sorry, that's Stormcrow. I'm still getting the hang of this. I promise future videos will be a little more polished. Followed by Stormcrow. So that's what I've got so far with 8th edition in the books. Next up, we'll take a look at Mirrodin. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have content or ideas or questions or queries or anything you'd like to know, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in.